question for you
Okay.
from my friends, from my followers, from Instagram, and they are waiting for your answers. Teresa, so much. So, also I will make subtitles, Russian and English, for them, for all of them.
Yeah.
So for easily understanding of your words. So your pure English is good. It's easy to understand, but some of my Russian friends, they will be struggling. But so the first and the most funniest question was, do English people use swear words?
All the time. All the time. Yes. Oh, yes.
Is it like common? Is it popular opinion that English are strict and prim people? What do you think? So?
I think the English, they insist on good manners. So it can come across as they will then be quite abrupt if they feel that someone isn't being as well mannered. So they could then come across as rude because they think someone's being rude to them. So it is really, really strange. They insist on please and thank you, excuse me, all the time. And if someone doesn't use those words, it can come across as rude.
What about Russian people? Maybe some comparison with the Russian?
You know, because the majority of Russian students I've had staying here have been so well-mannered, so polite and things like this. But if I can use one of my friends, Olga, as an example, if we would say something simple like, would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah.
She'd just say no or yes. And it was straight to the point. Yeah. And so,
no, please,
of course,
no thank you.
No please, no thank you. So again, for someone that didn't know her, that would think, oh, that was a bit rude. And then straight away, that causes a lot of, ill feeling with other people. But she wasn't rude, but that's how it come across, because it was yes, no, that was it, nothing else. But she wasn't rude. She's lovely, but I can see how people would see that, because, like I say, the British, it's all about, good manners. Yeah. Always. They insist on it, but don't actually always exercise it.
Because in Russia, we don't have this culture of host families or host mothers.
Oh, okay.
Could you please tell more about the system of working of this, like hosting the students? So do you make some special agreement with schools and everything? Could you please explain it more?
Well, initially, health and safety is a big thing. So they come and they look at the property and make sure all health and safety is up to standard. The school come to here and they interview me. They also do checks, so police checks and things like that to make sure. Oh yeah, so that there's no child. Yeah, it's all about child safety and things like that, because a lot of the students are under the age of 18. So yeah, it's safeguarding of children. So yeah, they do police checks, they do house checks. We have to put a safety certificate to make sure that the house is safe and things like that, and then find out a little bit about me, about who will be in the house, and again what animals I have, which I have a little dog, and what age group and what type of student, meaning male or female, that I would be prepared to host.
Oh, thank you. Let's dive into the English culture more. Do you have a tradition of English, like 5 o'clock tea? Is it popular or is it like too traditional?
No, when I was a little girl, it was always breakfast. Dinner would then be at 12 o'clock, which would be a hot meal. And then in the evening, it would be tea. So it would be a cold meal. So sandwiches and things like that.
Oh, sure.
But then I think as, families now work so much more, the whole, meal times has changed a lot. So now it's not breakfast, dinner and tea. Except usually, I would say probably on a Sunday if people are off work, because then they would go back to the old tradition of maybe a full English breakfast, which is eggs, bacon, sausage, you know, a cooked breakfast. And then they would have, again, about 12:1, they would have a roast dinner. Okay, but then in the evening it would probably be something small. So then that would be classed as tea, because it'd be something small.
Okay.
I don't know, a sandwich or a piece of pizza or something like something small. But then in the evening, then we'd have a proper dinner, which again is a full meal, whatever it is. And yeah, it's just changed as time has gone on. But it always used to be that your main meal was between 12 and 1, and that would be dinner. But not so much now. But then again, most people call your evening meal dinner.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But that changed. Oh, yeah, it was very different when I was a little girl. That's what it was: breakfast, dinner, and tea. But now it seems to have changed, and it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, because it's kind of European traditional, isn't
yes,
it?
Yeah, and that's it. I think there's a lot of influences because we're multicultural now, aren't we? It isn't just Britain. We are multicultural. We're always having different nationalities and things like this, and people adapt to those as well. We tend to adapt a lot to American. We never, when I was a little girl, we never ever did Halloween, ever. It was always Guy Fawkes, because that was a British thing. But now we tend to do Halloween, and you don't hear of, you don't hear of Guy Fawkes as much, because Guy Fawkes, that's firework night. Yeah. But you don't hear as much. There's still fireworks displays, but you don't hear as much about that. But Halloween is a big thing, and all the children get involved, and it's all games and dressing up, and it's fun. But yeah, we still do fireworks and things like this, but I think it's more
American.
American
influence.
It is, very much so, very much so.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to see the children having fun and getting dressed up and just having a bit of fun? And if it means you give them a few sweets, what's wrong with that? It's great. So we don't obviously celebrate Thanksgiving. We don't do Thanksgiving. No. So no, we just, you know, again, as is Christmas. It's a big thing. Christmas is a big thing when families all get together and exchange presents and things like that. And yeah, Christmas is lovely, magical.
Could you please tell a little bit more about tradition of Christmas? How do you celebrate it? What's about preparations? When do you celebrate it usually? Which date?
Right, yeah, Christmas 25th of December. So for me, it is spending time with my family, exchanging presents and things like this. But for the little children, for me, it's getting them to believe in the magic of Christmas. So play the game of Santa Claus, as in, you know, all the presents that I write out for my children, I never write it from Nana. I always write Santa. I never ever write.
But you prepare it, but you.
Yeah, I know. So you know, they know really, but they know that, you know, they have to. Yeah, and so even though the older grandchildren know that there is no Santa Claus, they still believe in the magic of Christmas, and they love everything about it. So yes, and then we all get together. We all have a big meal together. Traditionally, the meal would be roast turkey and all the trimmings, but I think again, as things change, a lot of vegetarianism, as in our family anyway, so it's not so much the traditional turkey meal, not here anyway, but yes, lots of celebrations with wine, and you know, so there's quite a few drinks, but then it's playing games with the children. So that's everybody, you know, is interested in what the children are doing. So if they've got games, we play the games with them. If not, we invent a game. Or if they have bikes, we will go out and we will take them so that they get the opportunity to ride their bikes while we take the dog for a walk, and things like that. So it's just doing family things and spending quality time with the family, because when you're working, you don't get that quality time a lot of the time. So this is a big thing, and everybody looks forward to this one day, because we all get together. All get together. All my children will be here. Most of my grandchildren will be here, and it's a lovely magical time.
Yeah, it was a question about culture. very tasty question about food, about traditional food. So, for example, for Christmas, it is tradition to have roast turkey.
Yes.
What else? Maybe some traditional dishes do you have? Do you like? And what about preferences?
Traditional one would be your roast dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So roast beef, Yorkshire pudding,
yeah,
roast potatoes, fresh vegetables, and gravy. I don't eat roast beef as I'm being vegetarian, so it's not something I would have. And again, fish and chips is a traditional one. So fish in batter, fried, and chips, and usually served up in paper.
In paper?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
years ago,
yeah.
we used to have it in newspaper. So when we was children, you'd go to the fish and chip shop and you'd get your fish and chips, and it would be in newspaper.
Okay.
So you would eat from the newspaper. And everyone felt that that's what made it taste better. And then of course, health and safety, because of the print they decided they couldn't do that, so it was then in paper.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now, as traditions has moved on, it's in a polystyrene container.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, or a cardboard box. I think is another one.
Craft box.
Yeah. But no, it used to be in newspaper.
Interesting. I never heard about that.
Yeah. You'll have to look it up. Honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. But when you think of the meals, I mean, we tend to go for lasagna, which is Italian. Chili, it's Mexican. So again, we tend to adapt to all these different cultures and make our own rendition of the dish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may not be quite, how the Italians make it or the Mexicans, but we make our own rendition of the dish. So we have our own chili, and things like that. So and curry and things like that's a very popular dish. Pasta. And yet and pasta. Mm-hmm. So it's Italian, Indian, and things like that. But traditionally English would be a roast meal, which is usually roast beef, and fish and chips is you'll always hear fish and chips by the seaside.
Yes. That's the law.
Yeah, it is the law. Along with
could you please tell us about one more your law about the after dinner, after lunch?
Yes, it is the law. You must have dessert. You have to have dessert.
Yes.
You do not leave the table till you've had your dessert. You do not leave the restaurant until dessert is over.
My friends asked you about your personality, because they all impressed about your sense of humor, your energy. By the way, maybe because it is just my things about your energy, because of your style of eating, because you're a vegetarian. Do you think is it linked?
I think if you are one that trains regularly anyway, and I like to think I do train well, the diet has got to go with it. So I even though I do have treats and things like this, and I do like nice rich foods and things like this, on the whole I am careful about what I eat. And I think if you are training well and you're eating well, then you're going to get results. If you are training well but you're not really thinking about what you're eating, you're not going to get the good results that you want.
By the way, I think important thing that we should tell a bit about your past, about your experience of bodybuilding, about your training.
Yes. Well, I always before I used to be a personal trainer and aerobic instructor anyway. That was my career, and then I was in the gym one particular day, and I see this young girl, and she clearly really trained hard. She was very disciplined, and I liked her physique. And I said to my friend, do you think I could do that? And then with that, I started training.
Wow.
Yeah, I started training for the competition. It was only an amateur local competition, but I started training. I cleaned up my diet, and I was training every day, and it was very strict. The diet was very strict. And bodybuilding is a very, very vain sport. You become very self-absorbed because it's all about how you look. So even though I did it and I loved it, it's a real boost to your confidence, you know, because you're standing there showing off your physique in very little. It's just a real ego boost when people are noticing that everything that you've done, you've worked hard to get there, you know. So and it does, it really is hard work to look like that. I wouldn't do it again, only because my family is more important to me than any competition. And I know they took a lot of the brunt of my irritation and bad temper, because your diet is so strict. It does affect the way you are. And then leading up to the competition, you start to dehydrate, because you need to get as much water out of your body so it shows off the muscle more and things like that. So I would never ever do it again. But I do love the look. I think it is a, you know, and anybody that works like that is very, very disciplined.
Yes, exactly. How many students can you host in your house?
The maximum is 3. I have a single room and I have a double room.
Do you know any other host families? How many students can they host?
The agreement is only a maximum of 3 anyway. I don't want any more than 3 because I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable. As I do know that other families will put in bunk beds and things like that to put more students in a room. That I think is it's all about numbers rather than the quality. And yes, of course, everybody does it for a little bit extra money. However, I wouldn't want someone to think that they were just treated as just a paying customer. I'd hate that. Do you see what I'm saying? I would hate for them to feel that they were just there because I wanted their money. I'd hate that.
Students from which countries do you have? Did you have?
Have I had?
Yes.
I've had Italian, Russian, Saudi Arabian, French, German. Years and years ago, I did have Japanese. Very polite. Very polite. I just remember everything is very, they bow and to say thank you and things like this. Yes, I had a couple of Chilean boys.
What would you think better, to live a student in accommodation or in a host family?
I think if the benefit is to learn English, then with a host family, without a doubt. Again, going by the students I've had recently, one of the young students I've got, he actually said he was staying in a hotel, and a very luxurious hotel, but very lonely. As here, you're constantly talking, and because the main language is English, you can't not learn. You have to pick it up very quickly, and it works. It does work. You don't, you know, a lot of, if the student wants to learn English, they will spend a lot of time with the host family. If they're not really that interested, they're just away from their families on a school trip, they tend to keep themselves in their bedroom, which is a shame because they're not going to learn that way. And if you have students of the same nationality, they will tend to speak their language. So then I'm not actually speaking because I can't understand what they're saying. So then I'm sitting there and I'm outside of the conversation. So when you have different nationalities, it really does work because the common denominator is English. So they have to speak it. And so then it works.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Teresa, for this video.
Thank you, honey.
Спасибо.
Oh yes. Oh, how do I say it? Say it again.
Спасибо.
Спасибо.
Yes.
And that means?
Thank you.
Yes.
And like, you're welcome, or my pleasure, it will be пожалуйста.
That's a new word.
Yes. Пожалуйста.
Пожалуйста.
Yes.
Пожалуйста.
I will say спасибо, you.
Пожалуйста.
Пожалуйста.
Say it again.
Пожалуйста.
Пожалуйста.
Yes.
Пожалуйста.
Пожалуйста. Пожалуйста. Okay, one more time. Спасибо.
Пожалуйста.